What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome. Today's Thursday, February 7th, 2019. Man, it's still weird saying that. You know, it's February. I've been saying that for a month. My name's Jeremy, and this is my Styracosaurus mug, but also my first cup of coffee. Oh, so good. So good. So, I didn't get the new sparring uniforms up on the website yet. That's on the list for today, along with a lot of other things, like this book that I'm working on. There are quite a few things that this book leads in to the company, and I got to get it done. And I'm feeling very stressed about that because I've put 5 minutes into it in the last few months. See, I've got all these great ideas, but then I also have all the things that I have to do, like the day-to-day things. And working on the day-to-day things means there isn't a lot of time for the idea things. Like yesterday, I spent a couple hours packing up more mouth guards and uniforms and semi-contact gloves. And I'm looking at the sparring uniforms, and I have to take first shots of those and post those and get some of those to Amazon and get those on the website and yeah, it's a lot to do. But it's better than the alternative, which is not having anything to do. Because when you have nothing to do, it probably means that your company is dead. There's a cat. I should make the cat do an episode sometime. You can't make a cat do anything. So, one of the things I wanted to talk about. Well, no, you just do it over there. One of the things I want to talk about today actually came out of the CrossFit class I was teaching last night. One of the things I find interesting about martial arts classes, is that as martial artists, we don't tend to have a very good grasp on physical training and how modern science should be impacting the way we train. For example, here's the best example I can give you. When we talk about sparring matches, it's a very high intensity, and most people get very fatigued very quickly. How do we train for that? Most people go out for a run. Well, that's not the same kind of training. And if you know what it feels like to be able to run, consecutive 8-minute miles, but then get in the sparring ring and say, wait a second, why am I fatigued in 30 seconds? You may not know that scientifically we know those are different energy systems. There's actually 3 different energy systems in the body to lean on, to utilize as we exert energy. There's one that's for a very short time period, high intensity stuff. And then there's one that kicks out more than, I think it really takes effect after about 2 minutes. And there's even one in between. And when you run 8-minute miles, you're not training that. Now, how would you train that? Sprints. Very short, 20, 30-second sprints. It's a whole different ballgame. And so when I step into a martial arts class, despite the fact that we've had, 30-something years of scientific progress in how the body works, I see classes operating pretty much the same they were when I started. So what do? How do you learn this stuff? How do I learn this stuff? I learn this stuff by reading books and listening to podcasts from people in the space, because they're the ones pushing the boundaries. I try to bring some of this information back. I try to bring on guests that have something to say about it, like the martial arts radio episode we did with Gary Reinl, who Did a whole episode talking about ice and why ice for injuries is a terrible idea. But I have to be careful about bringing those subject matter experts on because they're not martial artists. And the more non martial artists I bring on the show, the more it kind of dilutes the philosophy, the message. So I try to do as much of this research and bring it back to you guys as I can. Oh, it's Thursday. There's an episode out. What's it about? I don't remember. There's an episode out. It's here on YouTube. You should look at it. Oh, thank you, Scott. Today it's about handling hate. How to handle the hatred that people will throw your way. Yay. Scott, you can be my new sidekick. What other changes would I make in a martial arts class as it relates to, our current knowledge of physical conditioning? It is very difficult for the body to get better at both cardiovascular endurance and strength from the same workout. So a class should have a little bit more of a focus. If you're going to do a bunch of cardio drills, don't spend much time on the strength stuff, the push-ups. Yeah, there's one. Flexibility. Let's just say that the majority of people's understanding of flexibility is grossly wrong. I'm not going to talk about why because that's a much longer conversation and I need to make sure that I've got my science built up, well researched, so I can present it. In fact, I've got a flexibility program that I've been noodling with, but it's got to come after this book. This book that I got to write. I put some chaga in my tea, in my coffee. It's good. It's not tea. Can you see? See? It's not tea. It's coffee. It's dark. I don't want people to think I'm being fake. It's not real coffee. I think as martial artists, we tend to value the past and the history so much that we forget that there are elements of our past that we can let go of without letting go of the tradition and the value of that tradition. A lot of what we do is based on what was understood to be correct then, and it being wrong now means we can make some adaptations that are appropriate. You cannot have growth or progress without change. So we need to be careful about getting stuck in the past in terms of training methods and everything else. Right, Kat? She's half asleep. She looks like she's going to fall off the couch. I'm absolutely not going to show you. This place is a disaster. I've got 5 different Amazon shipments ready to go out. And they're in piles. Any other physical training things I wanted to share this morning? Here's one. Here's one people don't realize. So, and I may have mentioned this on the show. This is one I talk about a lot with the people that I train. Your body is an adaptation machine. Think about it in that way. So if you are doing some strength training, bunch of push-ups, whatever, that creates a signal to the body to get stronger, right? Because your body's trying to adapt. You're giving it a difficult task, and your body's job is to adapt so that difficult task is less difficult later on. I do a bunch of push-ups. The signal to get stronger is fired off, and my body does something with that. Now let's say I do 30 push-ups. That's enough for me that my body is going to say, hey, get stronger. But let's say I do 100 push-ups. That signal doesn't get louder. The science that we've got right now says that there is no volume to that signal. It's on or it's off, and it's off for a certain on for a certain period of time. The more efficient you get, the stronger you get, the longer you've been sending that signal, you know, calendar time, years, whatever, the shorter the duration that that signal is on. But at that 100 push up level, I'm not just sending that signal, I'm also damaging my muscles tremendously. My body's got a fixed amount of effort that it can spend on dealing with those muscles. If it's damaged and there's a growth signal, it's going to repair damage first. It doesn't mean that there isn't growth happening, but it means that, one, I'm not going to get as much out of that workout as I could have because I've done too much. And two, I'm probably not going to be able to work out again. See, if you think about that adaptation signal, whether it's strength or it's cardiovascular or any of the other ways that we can adapt as human beings, frequency becomes really important. So instead of doing 100 push-ups at once, if 30 is enough to send that signal, I want to do 30 every day. And that way, the signal stays on longer. Because depending on how in shape you are, that signal starts to degrade in as little as 12 hours, for most people 24. So if you think about doing something every day, a concept I've talked about on this and the other show quite a bit, that's where you start to see the most progress. Even if it's just a minute a day. So I think it's pretty obvious what you might want to do with that information, so I'll just leave it alone. We're almost at 12 minutes. I hope you have a wonderful day. I will see you back here tomorrow, Friday, yay, for the final.